Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to review the THORN SHY028 homage to a Black Bay 58. Let's start with the wrist check. I'm wearing this Octopus Kraken, and Grego is still wearing my Phil Never 1802 Big Honking watch. I asked Grogu if he was enjoying his summer vacation from the Jedi Academy. He said when he lived on Tatooine, they had another word for summer. They called it Tuesday. Let's get the watch out of the box. As you can see, it comes in these nice plastic cases, the same ones that Addie's Dive and Steel Dive and a few others come in. So these are always nice. I like them. They really protect the watch, and they stack really conveniently in your shelf. So yeah, they're good watch boxes. Another thing I wanted to show you in case you missed my unboxing is the warranty card is actually signed. So that's always a good sign. But here's the watch. Isn't that a nice looking watch? It does look a lot like a Black Bay 58. This is the first Thorn on my channel. I've had my eye on this one for some time, but the price and the fact that it never seemed to go on sale seemed to hold me back. Then it finally went down a little during the last big sale, so I pulled the trigger. Not that the price was terrible. The watch is clearly worth what they were asking for. I just have to pay as little as possible because I have to sell them when I'm done. This, of course, is an homage to a Tudor Black Bay 58, except for everything has been seriously photinaed. They did a pretty good job mimicking the Tudor, and I'll tell you right now, it's getting a very positive review from me. I do wish that there were more colorways, especially blue on blue, which is the BB58 I would choose if I could afford one. If you don't like the snowflake hands of a Tudor, you can get the SHY027, which has the Mercedes hour hand, and oddly enough, the 3, 6, and 9 numerics of an Explorer. If Photina isn't your thing, you can get the SHY029, but then you have a steel bezel. There's also the SHY026 that oddly enough has a fixed 24-hour bezel, but not a GMT hand, so I don't really know the point. The watch is 38.9 millimeters at the bezel, and the bezel just barely overhangs the case. It's 45.9 millimeters lug to lug with inverted end links. It's 13.5 millimeters thick, but that includes this dome crystal, so that adds some thickness to it. Has a 20 millimeter lug width and weighs 134 grams on the supply bracelet with one link removed, so it's not that heavy. We have a 120 click unidirectional bezel, and the action is really good. Nice solid clicks. And just enough resistance where you won't be knocking out of place all the time, but not so much resistance that it's hard to turn. And it has a ceramic insert and a lume pip with the red triangle that's similar to the Black Bay 58's red triangle. And only the pip is lumed on the bezel, unlike the Octopus where everything was lumed. Then we have a black dial with no sunburst effect. And then we have the THORN name and logo up top. And the logo looks pretty similar to a rose, which is the logo of the Tudor. Then on the bottom it says 200 meters, 660 feet, and automatic. Unfortunately, it only has 2 lines of text, unlike a real Tudor, which has several. Then we have applied lume indices. And the lume is pretty good considering that they're Photina. I'll show you in the lume test later. Then we have the fence post minute hand and the snowflake hour hand and the snowflake second hand. And once again, they're lumed also. Then we have an unsigned crown, which is kind of surprising. I was expecting it to be signed with the THORN logo, but that's no big deal. I mean, do you really care that much? But the thread action is really good. There's not a lot of resistance, unlike that Octopus that I recently reviewed. And let me see, is there a ghost date? Yeah, there's a ghost date because this is an NH35. But is a ghost date really a deal breaker? No. Not really. And the thread action is really good. When you go to thread it back down, the threads catch right away, and there you don't feel like a lot of resistance. So yeah, I like the thread action. Then we have this sapphire crystal. It sticks up enough. I would consider this to be a box crystal, and it's domed. And I don't know if there's AR coating or not. The reflection, there seems to be quite a bit of reflection. So here, let me check the specs real quick. There's no mention of AR coating in the ad, and it seems to be reflecting pretty good, so I'll say no on that. And then we have the case. The case is very nice. It's brushed with a very small chamfered polished edge. I like the case. It's got a good shape to it. The finish work looks really nice. And it seems to be very compact. So it's going to wear nice and small on the wrist. And then we have the case back. This is Tudor Rolex style with the coin edge, but a Tudor actually has writing on the case back, unlike a Rolex, and this doesn't have any writing either. And of course, you'll need a special tool to open it up, and you'll need a 29.5 millimeter coin edge opener. And I like it too because it doesn't seem, the case back doesn't seem to stick out a lot, so it keeps the watch fairly thin. Underneath the case back is the good old reliable NH35 movement. This is a 24 jewel 3 Hz movement that hand winds hacks and has a bidirectional rotor and is usually fairly accurate off the shelf, even though the specs aren't very accurate. So let's go ahead and put it on the Timegrapher and see what we got. There's no mention of regulation, so I don't know if they do or not. Here it is on the Timegrapher. As you can see, it's running pretty good. We got +1s, -2, 0, +1. But we do have a little bit of beat error there. That's why you kind of see 2 lines on the screen. And the amplitude's okay, but not great. But, you know, it's running good, though. It's accurate. So that's the important part. So, yeah, I don't know if they regulate them or not, but this seems to be running really good. The bracelet is an actual 5-link. It's got these little thin polished links on the side where the middle 3 links are all brushed. Now, it's not fully articulating, though. The center links do not move independently of the side links. But it does have inverted, and they are solid end links. And then we have these rivets. They might even be real. I don't even know if they're faux or not, because the screw pins are double-headed. So they went the extra mile for the double-headed screws. The thing is, though, man, was it a pain to remove a link, because you had to have a screwdriver on one side and a screwdriver on the other. And I got them off eventually, but trying to screw them back down was really a nightmare. I finally got to the point where I was able to use my thumbnail on one side. So, see, I didn't really have a vise or anything to lock the bracelet in, which probably would have helped. But I didn't want to scratch it up with an old clunky garage vise or anything like that. And then we have the clasp. Oh, I don't know what they went wrong here, but they sure did with this clasp. It's short, only has 2 holes of micro adjust. It is milled inner, but pressed outer, and it's just, I don't know why they decided on this. 2 holes of micro adjust when the links are this big. It's not signed though, so if you need to replace it, it should be no big deal. If you want to replace the clasp, you're going to need a 16 millimeter. But yeah, I just don't know what they were thinking with this clasp, because the rest of the watch is so nice and this clasp is so bleh. I mean, yeah, it's not as bad as those $20 ones I get where they have that one side push clasp, but it's just, this is a $130 watch, so I was just expecting a better clasp than this. Here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist. It looks nice, wears nice. But I only removed one link. I was kind of grateful because it was such a pain to remove one link. I was grateful that I didn't have to remove two, but if you have a wrist much bigger than mine, you're going to have difficulties. So I know my one viewer, Joe Hain from Sweden, he was able to ask for some extra links when he ordered an octopus. So if you have a big wrist and order this Thorn, ask the AliExpress store if they'll include some more links. Here we are in the loom room. Just wearing the watch, I knew it had great loom. Sometimes when you go for that Fotina look, you have to sacrifice some loom. Fortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. As we speed up the time, we see that this is indeed first-rate loom and everything is glowing just nicely. It's nice to see that the loom pip is strong because it should work with the minute hand for timing purposes. Of course, the minute hand is not quite as strong as the hour hand due to the whole width issue, but excellent loom indeed. What do I like about this watch? Well, I like the sapphire dome box crystal. I think they did a really good job with that. It has really good bezel action. It looks and wears great. Has really nice finish work, especially on the case. And has excellent loom. What are my gripes and groans? The clasp is short and only has 2 holes that micro adjust. I really think they could have done better. The double-headed screw pins, they might be pretty, but they sure are difficult to use. And I only removed one link of this bracelet, so it might not fit bigger wrists. Do I recommend this watch? Yes, this watch is great, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, and I'm going to be sad to sell it. If you're looking for a BB58 homage, then you can't go wrong with this Thorn. Just do yourself a favor and order a better clasp. Well, thank you for watching my review of the THORN SHY028, homage to a Tudor Black Bay 58. And I will be back with another review or unboxing. Be sure and like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.